Perek Yud Zayin, the Alter Rebbe Azoi, Ubazeh, and now. And now means based on what we learned in Perek Tezayin. What do we learn in Perek Tezayin? That the classic Chabad approach to Beinani is the avodah of Moyach and Leiv. Moyach Shalit ala Leiv. And Shalit doesn't mean to rule. Shalit means to inspire and to educate through limud and his bonus. However, there are people who are in a state of ibur. That means to say that they don't develop Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem. Instead, they find themselves in a, so to speak, in an interim state called Kach Yoasa, that I call the Bissel Yiddish Ha'atz. The person is claiming he has no regesh, he has no feelings. Now, the Rebbe is saying to him, if you are doing the mitzvah Bel Mamish, that's a raya, there is some feelings. Now, but then it's Behelim. If you're doing the mitzvahs practically, when you have a deficiency in Av of a Yira, the Peil Mamish is a raya that the regesh is present. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it. And then he adds that Kabbalah Zeh Machashmaim, yeah, but then you need the Kabbalah Zeh Machashmaim has been motivated by something, and it could be motivated by Ava Teves, which we'll get to in Perek Yud Ches. But now we're talking about a motivation that comes from his bonus Navas Hashem and Yiras Hashem. Ubazeh. Now that we explained that there is a Moyach Shalit Alev Beinani who doesn't have full Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem, he only has Kach Yosa Bissel Yiddish Ha'atz. Now we can explain Yuvan Mashakos. We can explain the pasuk. And the pasuk says the Yiddishkeit is very near to a person. Beficha in his mouth, which is dibur, ubavavcha in his heart, which is thought, and la'asei to do, which is mais. Now there's two questions here. Question number one is, why isn't it written in order? It should either be bavavcha beficha la'asei or la'asei beficha ubavavcha. Why does it put machshav in the middle? Second of all, it shouldn't say bavavcha, it should say b'machshavtecha beficha ub'machshavtecha la'asei, right? And he asks three questions, or in three ways he asks this second question. Here goes. Now we're going to have three arguments against the word bilvavcha. It shouldn't say heart, it should say thought. The lacheira hu, this word hu I cannot figure out. It seems to me that bilvavcha, that the word heart, neged achush alonu, goes against reality. Most people today cannot feel Hashem in their hearts. Vatayri is forever. She'en karam it is not near. It's certainly not very near. Lahapech, hadavar the matter, lahapech libe, to transform one's heart. Mitayva selam hazeh, from the desires of this world. Lavas Hashem be'emes, to loving Hashem in truth. Why? Because you're a beinani with a yetzer hara, and when your heart is on, it's very hard to change him over from one to the next. So how could the Eibush to say feel Hashem in your heart? It's neged achush. Now, if Torah was given only to the generation of Moshe Rabbeinu, you would say they were on a higher level. But since Atayri Nitzchis, it means us too. For us, it's neged achush. Number two, the Gemara says, Ata Yira. Milsa Zutra says, he is being afraid of Hashem a small matter. The Kol Shekein Ava, and certainly love is not a small matter. If awe and fear of Hashem, the Gemara itself concedes, is a big deal. For sure, Ava is a big deal. And the third raya is that the Tessin Medrash, Tzadikim Dafka Libem Mishusim. Only Tzadikim can rule their hearts and not Beinyanim. So first of all, it's Neged Achush. Second of all, the Gemara says even Yid is not a mitzvah. Third of all, the Medrash says Tzadikim Dafka Libem Mishusim. So the Shaila is, why does it say B'vavcha? It should say B'machshavtach. And the other question is, why is B'vavcha Avcha B'fich? So I'm going to tell you something now, which doesn't say in Tanya. It's in a Maimer. And I believe, I can't say this as a matter of fact, but I believe that what I'm about to tell you is Pshuta Shamika of this Tanya. If you feel that I'm wrong, I understand, but I've been teaching this for a while, and I'm convinced this is the correct pshat. And that is that the way you read this pasuk is as follows: it is very near to you in your heart, to learn Chassidus and to think Chassidus. Ubilvavacha means to develop a bittul Yiddish ha'atz, or to say it slightly differently. Beficha means to learn. Bavavcha means to do his bonus and to develop a bissel Yiddish ha'atz. What we called in the previous Perek Kach Yoasa. La'asei to be a balabas over yourself, b'machshava dibur u'maisa. La'asei lashon kfiyah, like ma'asen al adzaka, to control yourself, shalit. You understand? So now it's beseder. Beficha means a limud. Bavavcha means his bonus and a bissel Yiddish ha'atz. And it also answers the question: how could you say bavavcha is neged achush? Because we're not talking about full-blown Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem. We're talking about a minimum amount of Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem, and this is possible. What did I say? Ella. The la'aseise it's in Yilema. When it says la'aseise, it means you have to read it bilvavcha la'aseise. This means ha'av ha'meviyah l'idei asiyas hamitzvos bilvad. Just enough love to do the mitzvahs practically. So you read it like this. You have to have heart, but how much heart? Just enough that should affect asiyah. So we're not talking about full-blown Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem, because full-blown Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem is Taka Neged Achush. We're talking about a minimum of Avas Hashem and Yiras Hashem, which is called Kach Yasa, Bisl Yiddish Ahatz, just enough to affect behavior. This is totally practical. Shehi Berusa de Liba, it can be in the will of one's heart, in other words, in the makif of the heart. Shebetalumas Lev, it's hidden in the heart. Gam, even though Kienu Be'ez Galus Liba, it's not fully revealed in one's heart. Kiddush Be'esh, like fire attached to coal. Zagal Trebe V'Dov. And this idea that a person should have a bisal Yiddish ahaz through along his bonus, just to have sufficient good feelings to affect that he can control himself, it's like a Carter made is very near, and the next word is a Chiddush Nifla. It's the only time in Tanya this word appears, as far as I know. V'nokal, and easy. We always make the distinction between near and easy. Here the Alter Rebbe says that Taka means easy. It's easy. Not only is it near, which is possible, but easy. L'chol of every person. Asher yesh le'mech bekakad. If you only have a brain in your skull, that you should be able to learn and be mizbeinin in the Eibishter and develop this minimum madreg of Ava v'Yira necessary for Aveda b'Peil Mamash. Ki meicher b'shusli, you can control your thought. You can't control your heart, but you can't control your thought. V'yachal is bein and bein. You can use your thought to contemplate. Ki chal ashiyach, whatever you desire. Ukeshe is bein and bein. When one contemplates using his mind. B'gdula sein seiv baruch hu, in the greatness of Ein Sof, memela automatically yelid one will give birth to b'meichei al kol panim, in his brain at least, which was called before Tvunas Moicha and Talumas Halev, Rusa Deliba. Ha'aval Hashem, just enough love in the Eibishter, a bisl Yiddish hearts, Kach Yasa, Ladavka Bey, to attach oneself to him, Bekiyum, mitzvahs, of V'tirasei, in practically doing mitzvahs and practically learning Teda, and that's enough. So you read it, it's easy for you to learn. And then Ubuvavcha to do his bandanas and develop so much Aval Aseisei. It's Negiyah Machshavah Dibur Maisa, Gevaldike Pshat. And the Alter Rebbe says, all a person is expected today is to control his behavior, because v'zeh kol ha'adam. This is the entire purpose of a person, to do action. Ki hayoyim, because in this world, la'asei sam ksiv, we live in a world that is defined only by what we do. Shayei mu'elam ha'maiseh davka, today is a world of deed. Ulamacha v'chuli, and tomorrow we have to do avas Hashem, and yiras Hashem, and seichel eliki, and taineg eliki, or k'mishkas ha'makamach. But right now, all that matters is action. And one's mind, through the Riboy Yizboninus, Shalit rules and educates B'tivei by nature, V'teodosei, and from birth, Al Cholol HaSmoli Shabalev, over the left ventricle of the heart, V'al Pivin, over the mouth, which is Dibur, V'al Kolei Vodim, over the rest of the limbs, Shem Kli HaMaisa, which are the tools of deed, Amachshava Dibur HaMaisa. So, the Mayach can learn and be mizbeinin and develop a minimum amount of Avos Hashem and Yiras Hashem to develop full control of the person. I just want to make a comment. How many times in Tanya say the words V'zeh kol ha'adam? He says V'zeh kol ha'adam, Tanya Perek Yud Zayin. And what is V'zeh kol ha'adam? Maiseh. Yeah, V'zeh kol ha'adam Perek Lamed Gimel. And over there V'zeh kol ha'adam means to be ishpezichan l'gvura through limud and his bonus, Avat Hashem, Yiras Hashem. And then you have V'zeh kol ha'adam and Perek Lamed Zayin, which is about Dira B'tachteinim. So it does derive V'zeh kol ha'adam. I think there's a fourth, but I don't remember where it is. In the Rebbe, when he made the 12 psukim, and he wanted to have a V'zeh kol ha'adam, chose Dafka Perek Lamed Gimel. And L'cheire, from the Rebbe's point of view, that the Rebbe koch so much and did it b'tachteinim, he should have chosen the V'zeh kol ha'adam Perek Lamed Zayin.